Hello there everyone, I'm back. I guess I should start by explaining the reason for my absence. Here's the short version. After releasing the previous episode, I was sick for 2 days, and even if it was only for 2 days, it really messed with my sleeping schedule. So I have spent like 2 weeks trying to get my sleeping schedule back in order, and the rest of the time trying to find the motivation to start with the channel again. So that's it, in case anyone was wondering. As you may see on screen, I was able to keep working on my landscape before I fell sick. You'll even get to see it finished in this video. When I say finished, I mean I'm happy enough with the result that I'm ready to move on to something else. So let's do a small recap of lessons I've learned working on this landscape. Right after the swoosh effects. My first main takeaway, as I said last time, is that I like the basic brush very much. It reminds me of how a friend described the C++ programming language. He said it's very versatile and powerful, and you can do whatever you want with it, but some things take a lot more work than with other languages, or in this case, brushes. The reason I feel the basic brush is so good for learning is that it reflects exactly the amount of work you put into the painting. It doesn't give you anything for free. My other big takeaway is that I should be wary of making the brush too small too early in the process. In the case of a landscape like this one, if you make the brush too small on one part of the painting, you almost have to go over the whole painting with the same size brush, which only makes the process longer. And here's the finished painting. My first original finished piece since starting the channel. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the channel before, but other than practicing art, my other hobby is playing drums. I think the few people who watch this channel already know this, but anyway. The reason I mention this is because in the last few months I've been going back to basics on drums, working on my technique and improving the absolute basic components of playing drums. The reason I mention this is because after being sick, I was having trouble finding inspiration for art, so I thought I could do something similar. The most basic components of drumming are called strokes, single strokes and double strokes, which are how you hit the drums. I think it's safe to say that the most basic components of art are lines. Here comes the swoosh and the swoosh. You've seen me fill a page with straight lines, and here come the curved lines. I thought it would be the other way around, but actually I think my curved lines look better than my straight lines. Are curved lines easier? In both cases, I was trying to keep my wrist and my fingers locked and do the lines moving my whole arm, just as the pros say you should. And I was also trying to do the thing where you don't put down the pencil and then start moving, but your hand is already in motion when the pencil touches the paper. So until further notice, every time I'm going to draw or paint, I'm going to spend 15 minutes doing one of these exercises first, but I won't record it every time. I guess I'll only record my warm-ups if I start doing something different worth showing. On this final page, I'm doing a special case of curved line called an ellipse. Of course, they're not perfect, but they weren't too bad for a first time. A perfect ellipse is supposed to be symmetrical on both the major and the minor axis, and mine fall a little bit short of that. What I can say is that doing any of these exercises for 15 minutes before a drawing really helps warming up both your arm and your brain. So I'll spend a week or two doing random shapes like this, and then I'll try increasing the complexity in some way. And now, the final thing I did in preparation for my epic comeback was to start another one of James Jullier's art tutorials. Link in the description. I did that to make it a little bit easier for myself, but I also chose one that has a landscape and a tree to make it a little bit harder, trying to strike a delicate balance here. This week I will have to start by redoing all the leaves of the tree because I used too small a brush for them and I'm not happy with how they look. When it's finished, I think it's time to do some portraits. I want to see how much I remember about drawing and painting faces. But I'm not sure, so if I do something else, don't get angry, please. And that's it for today. Sorry again for the delay, but one cannot help getting sick. Have a good week and see you next time. Getting back into recording voiceovers again was actually harder than getting back into